Hi, welcome back to the channel. A couple weeks ago, I made a quick and easy DIY Instacart HelloFresh hack to help you save some money, cook at home during these quarantine times. Today I'm building off of that, the idea of cooking at home. You've probably heard this a million times on various guides on how to save money. A great way is for you to cook at home, to save money, eat healthy. But what I love to do on this channel is to give practical tips. Exactly how do you cook at home and some of the items that you'll need to start up your very own kitchen. Especially useful if you're just out of college or transitioning into your own place for the first time. You're cooking by yourself. You haven't had to do that before, or you're just looking to redo your entire kitchen. New lifestyle, new year, new me. So let's get into it with the tips today. I'll be giving you a quick tour of my kitchen and some of the things that I have. This is aimed at a pretty budget and basic kitchen build out, I guess you could call it. I will offer some more expensive and other options at the end, but it's really aimed at building up your kitchen from nothing for as little as possible and going over some of the major items that you will need. Now, one thing I do want to remind you guys before I start this out is if you do have a little extra money, it might be good to consider buying some things that are a little bit higher quality and will last longer, just because if this is for your kitchen, you can probably use these things for many years down the road. So this is the classic, paying for the budget option for pans or other equipment that might not last you a year or two, or buying really quality equipment that will last you a lifetime of use. It just depends on your budget, but I would say if you do have the money, you can afford it, I would look to make that investment towards something that's a little more higher quality and will last you longer. So the first part of this guide, I'll take you through my kitchen and go over some of the bare bones basic items that you should be looking for. Second part, I'll go over some of the more advanced, or I'll call it a deluxe plus package for your kitchen. More appliances, spices, and tools that will enable you to expand what you can do in the kitchen. I wouldn't consider these as essential. If you're really on a budget, you could get by without. And last section, just for fun, some more baking specific items for you guys that love to bake or want to try getting into it and are just looking for things that you need to start out making fresh baked goods in your own kitchen. And I know this isn't a cooking channel by any means. I'm not a professional cook, but I think it helps to talk about these things from the perspective of someone who's not a professional. I just moved into a new apartment, had to buy kitchen equipment, brand new, starting from scratch. So I think it offers a very valid point for you guys who are in the same position, not necessarily looking for the latest and greatest equipment, but just things that you can use in your everyday life, cheap and easy. Okay, so welcome to my kitchen. I have set out here a couple of the basic items that I think are the necessities, the bare minimum you should have in your kitchen if you're starting to build it up. Right here I have a pan, just a basic fry pan, non-stick. You can get these pretty much anywhere. Once again, this will depend on how much money you have to spend. You can get anywhere from a $3 really cheap non-stick pan. I've been using one I got from IKEA. This one I got from Macy's, but there's a pretty popular one that a lot of people use. You can get on Amazon for about $25. I'll put that in the link below. Moving on from that, I'd recommend a pot like this, or large saucepan with a lid. You can use this to boil pasta, make sauces, things like that. Eating on a budget, I know pasta is probably going to be a staple in your diet, so definitely going to need a pan right there. And moving on here to some of our tools. A knife doesn't have to be anything fancy. I have a knife block, but this one's the main one that I use right here. I have this for a long time. It's pretty beat up. It's gotten a little melted on the handles there, but nothing fancy. You just need something to chop with. Serrated knife, cutting bread and other things, not necessary, but once again, pretty useful. Definitely also want a spatula. You can get a wooden spatula, a metal spatula, plastic spatula. Metal, be careful based on the pan you're using. It may scratch those non-stick surfaces. Other pans are metal utensil okay, so just check with what pan you have. And also a cutting board. So wood, plastic, whatever you prefer. Just make sure it's not too small, so when you're chopping things, you have plenty of room there. But once again, with this, you can get a cheap plastic cutting board for probably $1. Wood one, $5-10, not too expensive. And Moving on to here, we have a mixing bowl, just a pretty large bowl. I got this at Ross for like $5. You can use this to toss salads, mix things up. Even if you're not baking, it's pretty versatile, usually for serving things. Very useful bowl. And then also a sheet tray or baking tray. I love roasting vegetables to eat with, broccoli, Brussels sprouts. You can roast potatoes. If you're doing baking too, you probably want one of these. This one's a little more heavy duty, but you can get a cheap one pretty much anywhere, and just make sure you put some foil on it, keep it clean. It should last you a long time. And some other smaller objects, a peeler, pretty simple, pretty basic, plastic with a blade, peeling vegetables, potatoes, carrots, things like that. And then last thing, just salt and pepper. You can buy just the box salt and pepper, but having grinders to do some fresh salt and pepper is always nice. These will probably be a little more expensive than just buying a jar of salt. A little nicer, probably a luxury. You don't need it, but would be nice to have in your kitchen. And once you buy it, you can use it for years and years. It will last you a long time. And some smaller accessories that I think are cheap but also very usable, very practical, things like aprons, oven mitts, kitchen towels. You can never have enough of these. Pick up as many or as little as your budget allows, but it helps you keep things clean. If you're grabbing hot objects off the stove, use this to pick up a pan, pick up a sheet tray out of the oven, wipe your hands off, wipe the counters off, wipe your pans off. Very useful. Definitely underrated kitchen item. Don't forget about those. So we've covered the basic items, the bare bone essentials that you need to start building up your kitchen. To level up your kitchen, these are some items that you can consider picking up if you have a little bit more money to spend equipping your kitchen. First thing, definitely recommend getting a nice cast iron, nice and sturdy. This is great for searing meats, steaks, scallops, lambs, things like that. It can hold a lot of heat, can go in the oven, on a grill, on the stove. Very versatile and also pretty cheap. You know, you can pick one up for about $15 on Amazon. I would have thrown this in with the basic kitchen package, but you don't really need it. If you wanted to, you could probably do most of it with a pan if you're balling on a budget. But if you have some extra money, this would be one of the first things that I would look to pick up. Next thing I have with me, a Dutch oven. Also a bit more expensive than just a basic pot or pan, but you can probably find these for $20, $30 either online at Macy's. Really useful for, once again, doing a variety of things, making soups, making roasts with smaller cuts of meat. Very versatile. You can use it for a lot of things. Even if you didn't have a pan, you could probably use that as a quick and easy substitute. And moving on, we have a deeper roasting pan, a roasting rack. You can use this to roast larger meats, chickens, pulled pork, things like that. Quick and easy, just at the apartment, in your house, in your oven. I picked this one up from IKEA for about $10. Next up, we have just a handy dandy box grater. Once again, not the most expensive thing, but I didn't include it in the basic package because you could probably live without it. Great for shredding cheese, vegetables, anything like that. Quick and easy tool. You can buy your own block cheese at home. Don't have to pay a little bit extra for those bags of shredded cheese. And I also have with me here just a basic strainer. Very useful for making pasta. Once again, didn't include this in the basic package because if you're really on a budget, you probably could go without one. I spent about a year or so without a strainer. You can just, if you don't want to spend money for a strainer, just take the pot with the lid, just dump the water out with the pasta. Quick and easy way. Probably not the safest or best way, but if you really are struggling, you can't afford that extra piece of equipment, probably fine to go with that one. But once again, the next level up, you want yourself a strainer. Plastic, metal, whatever you can afford, whatever's easy and accessible to you. For beginners, I might even include this as a must-have because it tells you exactly what temperature meat's at, so you're never overcooking or undercooking anything. You could get a digital one or an analog one. You can get cheap ones, expensive ones, just once again, whatever you can afford, whatever you can fit into your budget, but definitely a handy dandy, useful kitchen tool. To round out the basic kitchen package, deluxe edition, we have a pair of tongs and a whisk. Tongs, really useful for flipping things in the pan, meats or other things. Whisk, whisking up eggs, whisking up other things like that. definitely useful, but once again, you don't really need to have it to start cooking. Almost forgot, but it doesn't hurt to have knife sharpeners. Keep your knives nice, fresh, and sharp. Makes it a lot easier to cut through things and a lot safer for your own health as well. Consider investing in one of these. It's a lot easier to cut things with sharp knives as opposed to dull knives, which reduces the risk of anything slipping and accidentally cutting your finger off. Now moving on to the last part, the funnest part, kind of an extra bonus, if you will. We have cooking, we have baking. Some people would view baking as a completely different world, but we're in the same kitchen here today. So I'm going to run down a quick list of items that you can consider getting to start up your baking collection. First thing I would recommend is a scale. I think scales are a lot more versatile than measuring cups or scoops just because it gives you a more exact measurement. If something's calling for 100 grams of flour, you can get that exact amount, whereas there could be variations in measuring cups. And also I just find that I lose my measuring cups a lot. It seems like every time I move, a couple go missing. So I've lost the 1 cup, the 3rd cup, 1/4 cup, 4th cup, whatever it may be. But a scale, one piece of equipment, easy to keep track of, accurate results. I'd say it's a must-have. Next thing when you get to baking, in the first part I had a large mixing bowl, but you're gonna want to have a lot more of these. You can get a whole 3 to 4 piece mixing bowl set on Amazon or Macy's or Ross for pretty cheap, and you're gonna want at least a couple mixing bowls to help you mix your different ingredients, your dries and wets, keep them separate, and have enough space in those bowls to mix up all the ingredients that you will need when you bake. Sometimes I get lazy and we don't really use this, but a lot of recipes, a lot of people will tell you to either sift out your flour or sugar before putting it in, so one of these will help you do that. And here, probably the most important and funnest part of it all, the things you're actually going to bake your baked goods in. So this will vary based on what you're baking, but round cake tins if you're looking to make cakes, pie dish for pies, tarts, other round objects. We have muffin tins if you want to bake muffins or cupcakes. And we also have another sheet tray and a cooling rack for cookies. If you already have these from your basic kitchen package, you're good to go. Cookies, no extra equipment required. And also a loaf pan for loavy things, banana bread, etc. You're also going to want to have a silicone non-stick spatula or something to mix things with. These are really great for scraping the edges of bowls and getting things where you want them, so invest in one of these. A couple dollars, save you a lot of time. And there are just some other smaller appliances that you can have if you don't have already. Toaster oven for toast, slow cooker. A lot of cheap budget recipes rely on slow cookers. Quick and easy, set it and forget it, come back to nice delicious meal. Toaster oven here, hot water boiler. You can use a pot to boil water if you don't want to go out and buy an extra piece of equipment. And also not shown here, a food processor as well. So that was a quick tour of my kitchen and some of the items that I would recommend. If you thought this video was useful, leave it a like. If you have any comments or questions about things that you might use yourself or things that you could add to my list, let me know down below in the comments. Stay subscribed for more content. Thanks for watching. Peace.